Hey guys, Lieutenant Max Jackamer, Truck 11C Shift, coming at you with a quick recap of our basic engine extrication class we did over the summer. A lot of good tips and tricks, some equipment review, and operational considerations. I'd like to give a special thanks to Lieutenant Curry and Glick's Junkyard for making this happen. Enjoy. So today's basic engine company extrication, right? See the tools on the table, the apparatus here is just what you're gonna see on an engine, right? So we're staying within that realm. We can get into like some rabbit holes and stuff off topic, but we'll try to keep it within. We're only as good as the tools and equipment we have, so this is what we got to work with on an engine. And we'll talk about those limitations and things we want to achieve on that. So starting with that, some size up considerations. Vehicle accidents are pretty good about, you know, medics, you're sizing up a lot of vehicle accidents. Rescue usually pulls out first, gets there quicker, right? So we know light, medium, or light, moderate, heavy damage. When a fireman says heavy damage, probably legit, most of us, right? We've seen some, the level of damage is different. Captain Katie had a good acronym for that. Light damage is a movable vehicle. Little fender bender, right? Moderate, not movable vehicle. Heavy, exploded all over the roadway, right? So kind of, I think we're pretty good at that. A couple things that add into size ups with vehicle accidents. Number of vehicles seems obvious, but maybe sometimes we don't say, like when we hear like 5 vehicles, we're like, oh man, it's gonna be a lot of resources, right? Type of vehicle, just split it: passenger vehicle, commercial vehicle, right? Like don't get into like pickup truck, SUV, like just like dump truck or passenger vehicle, right? That kind of cues different response, right? The squad should probably be thought about coming on commercial vehicles for sure. So throw that in there. Position's a big one, right? Side resting, upside down, upright. Understand that if it comes in as a vehicle accident, not an extrication, it's engine and rescue, right? You read the notes and it says upside down vehicle, dispatch doesn't do a thing. You have to call for an additional resource to for thinking about stabilization. We talked about damage, and the other thing I want to cue is everyone out, right? You cannot say this is not an extrication or everyone's out from the windshield of your truck. Just like we do on fires, we don't say everyone's out when the cop says, yeah, I think no one's inside the house and it's burning, right? We assume it's occupied until we clear it, right? So with our vehicle accidents, let's try to just say investigating from the dashboard and then do those inner outer 360s, get your head inside the vehicle and understand that, you know, someone could be tucked under that dashboard, a baby, ejections, all those things, right? So just investigating, we're all good with that, right?
Yeah, understand that your assessment is ongoing. Everybody wants to get on scene and give this great size up that everybody appreciates, and it's dead nuts and perfect and it paints a good picture. But you can only see what you can see. A lot of times you'll look at a vehicle from one side and it looks pretty good, and you get to the back of it and it's all fouled up. So just know that you're investigating, that's ongoing, and don't be afraid to tell them what you see and then get out there and complete your 360. Talk to the people on scene as you're going by car number 1. Hey, are you alone in the car? No, my wife was with me. Now she's missing. Well, you know that someone's been ejected or she's under the dash. Be diligent about doing your 360, get a good picture, and then you can update your scene size up. You know, keep people going, but stray away from, yeah, everybody's out. That slows everything down as soon as you guys say that, and they might start letting units go. So keep guys coming, keep batteries coming at the very least, because you're going to need them. When you guys are checking these batteries out, make sure in the mornings you're rotating your batteries. When you turn them on in the morning and you check them and it shows 4 bars, put a load on them, close those spreaders or those cutters and put a load on them for 2 or 3 seconds and then recheck them, because some of these will show 4. You do that for 2 seconds and check it, now it's at 1. So you guys got to get your officers in touch with Ski at 20, and he's expecting this. We've already talked about this, but a lot of these batteries are not even good anymore, and some of the tools aren't as good. So we can get you new tools, get you new batteries, but you got to be aware of them and ask for them.
Do the truck companies and or the squad have all battery as well, or do they have the gas powered still?
No, it runs off of our systems, our HRT on the truck. They're hydraulic tethered tools, no batteries. Right. Again, another resource that keep them rolling. If your batteries all die, those things are going to keep going.
Yeah, and if you think that we're going to be wanting those types of tools, those trucks have to be close. The cord rail on the squad is 70 feet.
Same with us.
So make sure as you're doing your size up, you're leaving room for those guys. Some of the foreign cars, the new Teslas and stuff, they're very stout. Some of the electronic cutters have a hard time with them. The hydraulic cutters that we have are bad to the bone. Yep. They'll cut them.
Another big benefit is our spreaders. We got like twice the spread distance that you do here, and you'll see today when we get in the dash lifts and stuff like that, your limitation is going to be a lot of time that spread. So power lines, all those extra hazards we talk about, the fuel leaks, things like that. Get that big picture. Don't just hone in on that, and then start your inner 360. Make a determination: is this an entrapment or an entanglement? Right. So we got to differentiate those. Is patient stable? Hey, I just can't open my door and get out. Right. Okay. Door pop. That's an entrapment. Entanglement or pinned is like I can't move my legs. There's metal on me. This is going to be pretty extended. We got to take things off the patient, remove parts of the car to get them out, right? So that's kind of like a dash report when you pop your head in there. Talk to the patient. If they're conscious, they're the best resource, right? Hey, can you move your legs? What are you feeling? All those things. So say that over the radio. Hey, we got one patient pinned. That kind of cues like this might take a little time, right? Triage, right? Number of patients. I've only heard colors called out on a vehicle accident like 2 or 3 times in my career, right? Like 3 reds, no yellows anymore, right? I keep saying this, like no more yellows. All right, and then greens and that, but again, that'll cue medical alarms. So you get a lot of units really fast if you call a medical alarm, right? So if we hear reds on a vehicle accident, you're assuming that's just trauma alerts right out the gate, right? So use that ramp triage just like we would on anything else for vehicle accidents, right? When you got multiple patients. All right, so vehicle hazards. So now we're in that inner 360, right? Keys, park and brake, and in park, right? Just secure that vehicle from rolling. Wheel chocks are fantastic. Use them off the engine, use 4x4s, wedges, whatever you got. Keep that thing from rolling, right? Car fires especially. We've all seen the ball of fire rolling towards an engine videos. Don't be that guy, right? Vehicle fire in the driveway, engine's parked right here, throw some chocks under that bad boy, right? So stop that thing from rolling first. Park and brakes work great. And then keys, like key fobs, Tesla start with your smartphone now, right? So take those things away from the vehicle, give them the command, all that stuff. Batteries, 12-volt batteries. We kind of changed our tune on this. We don't see that as an immediate hazard to cut cables right away. And as soon as we do cut cables, we lose a lot of features in the car. Steering wheels are electric, seats are electric, pedals are electric. How easy would it be to just slide a patient back with the seat versus, you know, having to remove the seat with cutters and spreaders, right? So be cognizant of that threat. Is that 12-volt sparking a little incipient stage fuel fire possibly? How do we handle the fuel or the fires? ABC extinguisher should be right out of the gate, right? It's way quicker than pulling a line, all that. And if it is a fuel fire, water's not going to do much. You're going to push it around, right? So an incipient stage, like, oh, it's sparking off, the extinguisher should be able to keep that in check, right? Then pull your lines and as expand out if you need. But yeah, the 12-volt threat, we don't see it as much, right? And if we cut the cables, do we take care of the airbags? No, right? The capacitors, 20 plus minutes, they can hold a charge. If you got to take the battery, end of the scene, negative cable off, right? Or section it out to where it can't memorize back and retouch, right? Eliminate that threat. As far as inside the vehicle threats, we talked about like moving the seats and stuff like that. Airbags, the old rule, 5, 10, 20, 5 inches away from side curtain, 10 inches away from steering wheel, 20 inches away from passenger. It's kind of the explosive distance, right? Always be cognizant of that stuff. It's very easy to just have your head in front of that and God forbid something happens. So these cars are so smart. You'll see like a lot of the airbag sensors now are orange, almost like those high voltage ones, but they're little orange cables. And they got sensors all over the vehicle. If it senses an impact, it triggers the airbag. So if you squeeze that with your spreaders and the battery's still connected and all those things have a charge, so the computer thinks it gets in an accident, it can fire it off, right? So just be cognizant of that. The inside guy, right? We want you guys as engine companies, regardless of the position of the vehicle, right? I know we have the extrication matrix on the directive that can get muddy, like engines can only handle an upright passenger car, right? You're gonna not touch the patient until a squad or truck gets there. It might be a while, right? So we're going to harp on basic cribbing on any position vehicle. The most unstable vehicle you're going to come across is a side rester, right? We don't have one today, but we'll talk about how we can just crib that up with some step chocks and just stop it from moving. Get people inside those cars, start patient contact. We're there for them, right? So crib it, take the windshield out on side rester or through the back hatch, whatever you can. Start that patient contact and care. And the inside guy is an invaluable resource, right? He can peek and pry for us. He can tell us, hey, you're pushing in on the patient. You know, their legs look like this. And he can get, that's very good eyes, right? To peek and pry from the outside, looking around B-post is tough. So, hey man, do you see an airbag back here? Nope, looks good, go for it. All right, we're cutting, get that patient covered, non-rebreather mask if we're taking windshields, right? Guard their airway, all those good things. So please get people in those vehicles and start patient care quick, right? Nomer is a side resting vehicle. Oh, we can't touch it until we get struts on it. No, we can't move metal until we, you know, advanced stabilization takes place, right? Then you build it out from there. And that comes back to this. What drives the speed of the extrication? What the style of extrication? I look at it as rapid extrication, like a down and dirty grab, or technical and smooth, no further, you know, injury to the patient. What do you think drives that? The patient, right? Patient stability, right? So I'm looking to the medic like, hey man, how much time we got? Like, they need an airway right now. I can't work in the car. They're gargling on blood. Door pop, yoke them out the glass. Whatever you got to do, right? Neck and back pain, stable. Take your time, crib it, do it the right way, right? Yeah, we talked about that. Do your inner outers. If you have a side rester, upside down vehicles are very inherently stable. If the engine's still in the car, it wants to stay with all that weight and it ain't gonna roll, it ain't gonna teeter. If the engine's out, it might get a little teetery, and we could just put these step chocks in that C post where that, you know, that bend is, and it'll just keep it from toppling over. A lot of times you don't even need to strut them, you know what I mean? So just think about where that weight is. Side resters is unstable, right? We want to usually crib on that clean side under the ABC post with a couple of wedges, whatever you got. So get your people in the cars quick, call for the resources, basic cribbing. I know we get in that tunnel vision, just want to get cutting. Please start with the foundation, because if we show up for advanced stabilization, the first thing we're looking for is cribbing, right? We're gonna have to do the engine level job. We can't just go right to advanced, right? Start from that foundation and build up. So last thing I want to touch on, directive, the ABCs of extrication, right? It's still in there. It's good. Assess, that's your size up, balance, crib, cut, obviously. Door removal, great, right? Easy door pops. Enlarging openings, that's when we're start talking about moving metal off a patient that's pinned, right? Find plan B, PIAs, I'm really big on that. We should learn from every call we go to, so hopefully it's done. And then find plan B before that, obviously. So always think that what you're doing, those are gonna fail, batteries are gonna die, you're gonna get a B post on a Volvo that just can't get through. Resources, extra, plan B, all those things, right? And you know how good bedside manner calms patients down. If you just tell them, hey, you're gonna hear loud noises, you're gonna hear glass break, you're gonna be all right, we're gonna work through this. I mean, just taking that tempo down, right? A couple things I forgot I had these as far as inside hazards. I don't even know what this piece is called. It's part of the seatbelt. All right, this is why words matter. I've a million different words for everything, right? So I'd seen this called a retractor, right? So it retracts the seatbelt. Not a big threat. The way that works is there's a little coiled up spring right in here that just, as you pull your seatbelt, it just retracts it back, right? The only threat here is if you cut into that, this spring flies out like a bunch of spiders and scares you a little bit. Ain't gonna hurt you. The other portion, anyone hear of a tensioner or pre-tensioner? Yeah? What's that? What's the function of that?
Imminent impact or deceleration, it tightens down.
Yeah, right. It cinches you into the seatbelt, pulls you in like a millisecond. So good visual of that is that's this little tube right here. Found out this is actually like a pyrotechnic device, like a shotgun shell that goes off and shoots pressure in here and rewinds that seatbelt really fast, right? So you can see the threat there is if we squeeze this or cut this, we could have a fragmentation hazard and it could pop off in front of our face. We don't want to do that. So avoid cutting through these. And the reason I want you to get a visual of this when we talk about a side out, fifth door, words matter. I know the fire service calls things 20 different things. I don't know what SCFD calls it. Today we're going to call it a side out. You good with that? Fifth door. Yeah. Well, you know, as long as you understand what we're doing, I'm good with it. Hopefully one day we get on the same page. This is going to be a landmark that you're going to look for to cut under on the rocker when we're talking about removing the back door, B post, front door in one motion, right? So seatbelt retractor. The other thing I'll harp on is, I'm sure you've seen it on calls, the thing that stops everything, taking a simple door off, is something as simple as wire cutters, right? We've all been there. What are the 4 things typically holding on a door? 2 hinges, wiring harness, and then anyone with that little bar? There's like that little bar there, what its purpose is? On the door, like where the hinges are inside there. Door limiter. It's a little bar that stops the door from swinging too far open and messing up your paint, right? It's steel and we got to cut through it. So there's usually 4 attachments on newer style vehicles. This damn thing will hold you up every time. You'll get the hinges blasted, doors ready to come off, and then someone got wire cutters, so small investment. What are these, $5 at Harbor Freight? These can hold up a whole scene. Don't use the big cutters to cut 4 little electrical wires, right? It takes time, kills batteries, all those things, right?
The best is when it just squishes and
Yes, doesn't even do anything. So on the squads and trucks, we have like these little go bags we throw on the hood that have like these little hand tools in it if you don't have them in your pockets. Some engines carry that too, but yeah. And peek and pry tools, right? Little freaking screwdrivers, whatever. I got this thing out as like part of a gag gift or something. Like, oh, this actually works, look perfect. So using a Halligan to pry off plastic in the car is too big, right? It's not going to work. So get yourself a little screwdriver, hand tool, taking battery cables off, whatever you got to do. This stuff can hold up the scene very, very quick. So think ahead. We'll show you ways that hopefully when you're taking a hinge, you can get hinge, wiring harness, door limiter all in one bite with the cutters. Hell yeah, get it in 2 cuts would be the ultimate goal, right? But it depends on the layout of the vehicle. You're not always going to get that. B-posts, when we take those off, you got wires inside there. And the other thing that holds you up, seatbelt. Seatbelt always attached to the B-post most of the time, right? Cutting seatbelts, anybody got seatbelt cutters on them, right? Trauma shears, don't know if they're going to work every time. So just a blade of some sort, razor blade, something you can saw through them pretty quick. When we get into taking glass, our EMS punches used to empty IVs, right? They're not super reliable on glass themselves, right? So we'll show you some different methods and different tools you can have to take glass very easily. All right, but yeah, wiring harness, if you're going to invest in some of these little tools. The other thing I would say, if you don't have a buff, it'd be nice to have one in your extrication gear, because when we talk about cutting windshields, the biggest threat is that silica dust, right? So we try to avoid cutting windshields. We'll talk about that later, but some kind of respiratory protection would be great. Try not to use your fire hoods. This isn't COVID where carcinogens are more dangerous than COVID, you know, so don't use that. Get yourself a buff, N95, whatever, just protect that respiratory. Oh, you're a pro. I know our face shields can get pretty annoying, right? So they're part of EMS orders, right? Just keep those in your extrication gear if you want. They're more comfortable sometimes. All right, get in some tools.
All right, hydraulic tools. This is just a review for you guys. Like we said, the biggest thing I want you guys to take away from this is how limited the batteries are now. We're having a real hard time getting through calls with batteries. So be diligent in checking those out. If you need new ones, ask for them. Ski is ready for you guys to be asking for. For today, while we're out here, we like to call the back of the tool the reservoir. So the big thing about this class is tool orientation. It's something that you're really going to get with time and practice. But when we're telling you reservoir up, that's what we're talking about. When we're asking you reservoir down, that's what we're talking about. Keep in mind, the back of the tool is the most fragile part of the tool where the battery connects here. The cutters especially, they're going to swing a lot when you operate them. The hydraulic cutters are very long. They're a lot longer than the hydraulic cutters are. So keep in mind where the back of that tool is swinging, and if it's swinging into the car, into the patient, or into metal where it's going to get broken, be aware of those types of things. If I'm operating the tool and I'm hyper-focused on what I'm cutting and you see me swinging the tool, you tell me. We're all responsible for safety and the tools. Let's not break the tools, take them out of service. If it keeps swinging the way you don't want it to swing, you're just going to have to find a different orientation or a different tool. All right, it's just like if there's a patient sitting there, we can't just rip them out if they're pinned in there, so we have to find a way. So I promise you, most of the time we can get it done. It can be frustrating, but you're just going to have to think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes Sybil's resetting the cutters. It just bites in a different way and it'll twist a little different. If the patient compartment's here, I got the handle out, that's good. Sometimes you could just rotate it in and just the orientation of the blades will make it twist in different ways. We know not to fight the tool, right? Let it do its job. You're not going to hold it back from the patient.
When it starts to swing, it's going to go where it wants to go. So it's hot out here. If this starts to spin into the car, I'm going to get crushed and it's not going to be very firm. Also, if my hand gets crushed in there and I continue to operate the button, the trigger, I'm going to have a real bad day, and there's not going to be anything that anybody else can do about it. Keep that in mind. Keep yourself in a safe position. Like I said, tools are heavy. Depending on if you're a big guy or little guy, don't be afraid to use your body with the tools. Put it on your shoulder. Have a friend help you. You don't always have to be Bo Smith Kerr strong arming it every time. So
yeah, use gravity. Come down when you're working through a gap in the door, right? Instead of going right at it, use gravity. Let the thing eat and drop like that, right?
Use gravity to your advantage. Yep. When we're out here today or when you're on a call, just for the sake of being professional and keeping these calls rolling, we've had a lot of groups out here. Every time, you know, the spreaders are going, the cutters are up next. A lot of times I call for, all right, cutters are up. Well, the cutters are on the ground over there 15 feet away. We got to do a little fire drill, figure out where they are and get them in play. So if you don't have a tool, or if you're not operating, have your tool, be on a knee, be at the ready, have batteries in your pockets. Like I said, the batteries are going to die. Again, when a battery dies, I don't want to see everybody act super surprised like this is never going to happen. So have batteries in your pockets. If you're not on a tool, but you're there assisting or whatever, or you're the officer, stick a battery in your tool. Same thing with the Sawzall. Have the batteries, be ready. If other trucks are showing up, tell them to bring batteries with them because you're going to need them.
And just good discipline. These have a 30-second runtime. Battery power is our crutch, right? Do not rely on that. Be disciplined, turn it off when you're out on the sidelines. And what position should these tools be in when you're out of play? Ready to work, right? Spreaders closed, cutters open. Don't think about how we store them in the trucks. Think about having them ready to work. So have these things all the way open, lay it on the ground, don't hold it, don't waste your energy, take a knee like you said. Just be ready to, when they call, you're in, right? So be disciplined with your tools. A couple other little features on these tools, the trigger assembly, the curved side like a trigger on a gun shoots, that's you should be able to feel, if this is a cutter, this cuts, right? If this is a spreader, that spreads. Right, so it's meant to be able to feel it. I know we just start moving it sometimes.
It opens for one tool and it closes for the other.
Right, it does the action of the tool.
Keep that in mind that cut is going to be the action of your tool. It's not a huge deal, but most of the classes out here, half the time the guys are going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You know your tools. Listen to the tools, especially the cutters. Know what they sound like when they're cutting. Know what they sound like when they're done. Know what they look like. If the tool is moving, or you see metal moving, or hear metal moving, it's still cutting.
Keep going.
Especially some of these older cutters. They take a while. You got to believe a little bit and give them some time. They also have a 2-stage process they have to go through to get to their maximum cut. Every time you come off that trigger, you got to go all over again. So some of these guys keep feathering and wonder why they can't get there. You got to just let those things eat a little bit.
And know your batteries. The newer style tools use M18s. They do not interchange. They don't even use the same charging bank. So if you get 2 engines showing up, you may have completely incompatible tools and batteries, right? So understand what you're doing there. And understand, we said that was the weak part. Only thing holding that's a little plastic, right? The newer generation of these aren't super different. They have a little plastic guard back there that could still easily rip off. They have a waterproof case, cool. Up top, they have a different electronic configuration. The only light that I like on there is there's an overpressure light now. Like you've been holding it, like you said, you can't really hear if it's still cutting. A light turns on and tells you it's maxed out. So it's a good little visual indicator. Something cool. Don't rely on it though. One last thing on the cutters is if you are cutting round stock for some reason, use these little cuts here, like rebar or something like that, a post that's small, get it down in the crotch of the tool. That's what it's meant for. If you ever see these start to do that little scissor twist where they start to spread, we have snapped these right in half. They are strong this way. They're not meant to be flexed this way, right? So if you're cutting something, you see the blades start to spread and twist, stop, reset, use that momentum to maybe get back through it again. They're very strong, but they can pop still, right? Same idea, right? Reciprocates in and out. Some of them have an orbiting function. This is a little older version that makes the blade do this. Found out that's just for wood. So not really our business. So keep it on basic reciprocating. Different versions of this. This one has a speed selector here. Some of them have a wheel on the side. Full send every time, right? That's the way we work. It is pressure sensitive, right? But all the way in, right? Understand how these cut, right? You have to have, this piece is actually called the shoe. Had to look that up, right? On this one, it's adjustable. If that shoe is not in contact with what you're cutting, you are not cutting, right? So you need to be pushed up against your metal and let the blade do the work. If you feel that you're shaking, that means the blade isn't going through the metal, right? So if you ever see people doing this, this has to be up against what you're cutting to get through stuff, right? Don't get caught up on the blades. We do have white blades, red blades, Diablos, different tip styles, carbide tips, not. We're not too concerned with using soapy water to cool them down unless it's like a man versus machine deal, right? We got blades as a disposable product. Use it on a call, go to 20, get a new one, right? Big teeth, little teeth. Again, if we got fresh blades, it's going to go through what you need to go through. Big teeth, more for glass, little teeth for metal, but they'll both work if you have to on them. Understand the issue here with the patient's head being close to it, right? You reach the blade, we have different size blades, all that stuff, right? So know your tool, understand how it works, and know the features of it. To change the blade on here, it's very difficult with gloves on. This style is a little quarter twist here, and it pops out. You can easily turn this blade over and use it in this orientation, and what that does is help get your battery out of the way It makes the tool a little more streamlined, right? If you're in a tight space. DeWalt's usually have that tab on the side you open up, a little more user-friendly for that. All right, any questions on that? Cool. Same battery for this, and like I said, if you have 18s on your truck, the Sawzall should be 18s, right? You shouldn't be mixing 28s and 18s together, so they should all interchange. Irons, they never break and run out of battery, right? We can get a gap on a door with a Halligan, just like we would on a house door, right? So basic cribbing review, right? Step chalks. I think we're pretty step chalk happy as a department. They're great, they're quick, they're easy, but they can work against us sometimes too. So the manufacturer actually shows these used upright like this with the wedge underneath, right? I know that's a little different than what we usually see it, but if you look at the way these things are tilted back like that, as I come in with the wedge, it levels out and captures that rocker panel, right? So that is one way to do it. It is acceptable to flip these over and you just create a giant wedge, right? Yeah. So if you do not have a wedge, you are not taking up space, right? Tell me how to get the car on top of these 4x4s without a wedge. Lift it, okay. Everyone lift and put it on there, take the tires, that's old school. Just use a wedge. This is how you take up space, right? So upside down is acceptable. I'm not a fan of it because it's a very steep angle and it wants to walk out very, very easily on underneath a rocker of upright car. The other thing is you got tiny little, those corners of plastic touching the ground, a little bit of oil or gas under there, thing gets squirrely all over the place. So I'm a big fan when these are appropriate of the wedge on the bottom, just a couple taps and you'll take that weight right off, right? Tactical cribbing and plan, like future planning, right? We don't want our cribbing to get in our way later down the incident. It's easy to say, car stabilized, we're good. Well, now we got to take a door off and open the door and it's hitting our cribbing, right? So we like low profile cribbing. On these cars right here, you're going to get away with a single stack cribbing. If we put this on that A-post and we try to open the door, we're nailing our cribbing, right? So think about that stuff ahead. You're taking up space, but don't let it get in your way. These are fantastic for side resting vehicles and definitely for upside down vehicles. On that C-post where the trunk is, this thing like fits like a glove right under there. Just put them under the C-post. That thing ain't going anywhere. Side resters, shoot for that ABC post, this and a wedge underneath, something like that. They work great for those kind of vehicles. But try not to make this your go-to on a standard ride height like car. And we know trucks are a little taller. Maybe they can catch something with that. But sometimes they're too tall to where we got to go in the box and all that. Step chalks are great. You got to have a wedge with it. Understand why and when they work. Single stack cribbing or basic is very simple rule. One of each. One 2x4, one 4x4, one wedge. Right? That's as high as we can go. That will take care of almost your full thing here, and you can adjust it in and out. Right? Wedge on top versus wedge on the bottom. Usually we see the wedge on top perfectly fine. If you find yourself trying to push this in and you're catching like a bolt or like an emergency brake cable, something, there's nothing wrong with putting the wedge on the bottom. See how it just raises it up? I like it better because it always slides in nice and easy on concrete, right? As long as you're making contact, you're good to go, all right? Yep, so again, it could be just that. It could be just the wedge. Half these vehicles out here don't even have wheels on them all the time, right? So sometimes you just need a wedge. Just take up that space, right? And then the goal of cribbing is to stabilize and take off the suspension. As we remove metal from the car, what happens to its weight? It gets lighter, right? It starts to lift up. So we do a crib check, right? So always tap in your cribbing from there. Having said that, when you set your cribbing, let's say this is like the rocker I'm trying to stabilize, and I hit it like right there. Not really a lot of cribbing grabbing, right? If I do this, I'm like, ooh, I got no more adjustment. I'm a little too deep, right? So try to find the sweet spot in the middle. It may be as simple as, oh, let me take this away, boom, middle, and then I can always tighten up after, right? So leave yourself a little play there to tighten up as you go. Box cribbing. Again, how much cribbing do you have on one engine? Not a lot, right? Boxes take up a lot of cribbing. So understand your limitations. Again, resources, resources, resources. Struts are way faster to stabilize even a truck that's a moderate ride height than building boxes, right? It takes a lot of pieces. But good discipline, good fundamentals. 4x4 cribbing for boxes. Anyone know how we position these and why? Does this look good? It's a box, right? Keep going up like this. So we don't like to go edge to edge like this, even with the poly cribbing. Poly cribbing uses wood rules found in like the field operations guide from like Army Corps engineers. Wood was the original stuff. So what we want to do with wood is overlap the width of your cribbing, right? So we typically just take this and do a roll in like that. Why do you guys think that we do that? Just strength, stability, all those things, slippage, right? So again, this is talking about lifting and putting some serious weight on this thing. It's like a crush factor. If it's right on the edge, it could start to crush, slide, and slip off. So this stops it with that overlap to stop that issue of slippage. The Plolly even has these little triangles that kind of bite into each other, but we still use those same wood rules. Having said that, the trucks and squad now carry wood only cribbing. Don't get into reasons why. Again, we can hear wood fail versus plastic doesn't give us those signs. Wood has certain ratings. This does different ratings. Just know this, don't mix them, right? These little spikes, if you put wood on top here, get very slippery. So if you see a truck show up, it's okay to have a wood tower on this side, poly on this side. Just don't mix the two. Don't intermingle. All right. So 4x4 cribbing, building a box, great. Say I just need one more layer. 2x4 is fine. And then what do I got to do? I got to finish with a wedge, right? Beautiful. That's if the car is perfectly level, the ground's perfectly level, all those things, right? Sometimes it ain't like that. Maybe you have to do like that to capture two pieces, right? Where's all the strength in this box? It's at the intersections, right? 6,000 each, right? 6, 6, 6, 6, right? And if you push in the middle, it's all that weight, right? Again, we're supporting a 3,000-pound vehicle, taking up space, not lifting it, but we want good fundamentals, right? He has a great point. If we come in with our wedge like this, say this is our height, and we're doing that, and that's kind of unstable, and we're not really capturing good, you can easily rotate the box, and then now you're coming from this angle. Nice, good contact across the whole thing, right? It's never the same. It's never pretty. It's never perfect. Make it make sense and take up space. Just know the fundamentals of overlapping, and we don't start doing this because then we get teetery on top of that, right? So keep those cross sections. If you can get weight on any one of these intersections, you're doing it right. What about height? What do you think about height? There's got to be a limit, right? We can't go super high, right? So this width here, 3 times is your height, right? So if we come in and we're narrow like that, it's now 3 times that. So if you have a perfectly square box, this is 18-inch cribbing, right? -4, 10 inches, 30-inch height on a perfectly square box. Okay, so 3 times your narrowest. If you're super narrow, something like that, they only want you going 1 times. Like that's it, right? Unique situations, right? Again, that is for lifting and supporting super heavyweight. You are just stabilizing. Please understand that. Do what you got to do to take up space. Anything else on that?
No, just a quick safety thing. If you guys are in a situation where the accident is dynamic and you don't want to get your hands in there, just be safe. Just remember, always grab the cribbing from the sides. If you got to use another piece of cribbing to push it in or a tool, that's fine. Keep the handles on the outside so you can grab them. But especially if you get into any kind of lifting operations and you're the guy in the crib, don't have your hands on top of the crib. All right, you could come to regret that. So keep your hands on the side. Use a tool if you need it. Be safe.
Yeah. And when it comes to clearing glass, which we're about to get into, resist using your gloves. Right? We have a lot of guys like punch it and they want to tap the glass into the car, pull it out, and then they come up to us bleeding from the face, not even knowing. Like, you touched your face with a glove, didn't you? So use.
Happened a million times.
Yes, so many times. I've done it too. Use this, push it in, Halligan, whatever. Okay, gear for the day. Extrication gear. I know it's going to get warm out here. iPro, right? Helmet shields down. We'll start with glass, and then we'll work into doors and side outs and dashes. All right? Awesome.